Hello, boys and girls. It's Maria Dismondy. And I'm wearing a pizza hat because I'm playing dress up right now. Today's class is all about creativity, and I don't want to distract you with this, but we will be talking about dress up during class today. So welcome, and I apologize. First, I need to apologize for our technical difficulty today. I want you to know I jumped on the bandwagon right when my children's school closed. Literally within 12 hours, I had the idea to create these lessons. And I normally use this video program for conferencing with small groups, but we have had such an overwhelming response to families signing up to this that we've had some learning difficulties. I know the first week it was a little bit challenging, and then we figured out this program called Webinar, and for some reason today it wasn't working. So I'm recording the entire class for you. There are no children tuned in. I've already done it. We got about 100 people who figured out the link today, but I'm re-recording this for you so your children can tune in. So today we are talking about creativity, and to start, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book Beautiful Oops. So this book is written by Barney Salzberg, and it's such a cool book because it tells you that creativity isn't about being perfect, that when you make a mistake, you can turn it into something really cool. So let me give you an example. Here's a torn piece of paper, and instead of saying, oh my goodness, my piece of paper is torn, this artist created it to be a mouth. Isn't that cool? Let me show you another example. A little drip of paint can be turned into something really cool. And what was another example? A scrap of paper. So this is a newspaper, a scrap of paper can be turned into something fun to play with. And so this is a really neat book. I'll show you the very last one. This was, let's see, a little hole. You've got a little hole in your paper. It's worth exploring. Make that hole in your paper, turn it into something. And so this is a beautiful book by Barney Salzberg. The other book that I talked about today is called The Crayon Man. The True Story of the Invention of Crayola Crayons by Natasha Bibo. I'm not going to read you the entire book, but I will share some of the book with you. It has a beautiful end page. There is a man, and his name, there once was a man who saw color. He noticed the yellow-orange of the petals of the black-eyed Susans. He marveled at the rich scarlet-red tones of the cardinal's feathers. Color made him really, really happy. But he worked in a factory that was really dark. There was black everything. I think they were creating tires, shoe polish. And he was an inventor, and he worked with his cousin, and they created something called Biney and Smith. And so they helped to create an inexpensive slate pencil that wrote very smoothly, and it was called chalk. And if you continue, his family kept saying, but what about this? But what about that? This is poisonous. What about this? And so he continued to be creative. He took out supplies and he experimented with different types of materials. He used different colors. So cool. Grinding up different materials and rocks into fine powders. Look at that. Until finally he was able to get different colors like greens, oranges, violets, and pinks. Lots of different shades. And so he was able to create these crayons, but then at this point his family and his team said, hey, these are toxic and we think that kids might accidentally put it in their mouth, so we need to go back to the drawing board and make sure that these are non-toxic for kids. And then they said, well, what about a name? Finally, one summer evening in June 1903, Edward came home covered in color, and he said that he did it. It was non-toxic. He created the crayon. But what should they call it? And so Alice, this lady here, had an idea. She said, let's mix the French word cray, which means a stick of chalk, with the word ola, from the word olangineus, which means an oily, waxy kind of texture, to create a new word, Crayola. And so, boys and girls, he was not only creative, but he was also an inventor. He liked to create and to design and to experiment and discover. And so that is a wonderful, beautiful story of Crayola crayons and a man who loved color. And aren't we so lucky for this man? Because now we have Crayola crayons. Our last class. Creativity refers to the phenomenon where a person creates something new, whether it's a product or a solution, a work of art. It could be a novel, which is a book. So my form of creativity is I write words and books. And it could be a joke, but it has value to that certain individual, okay? Art, using paints and crayons and markers is a form of creativity. Using nature to create something is a form of creativity. Playing dress up. So when I started, I was a piece of pizza, and here I am dressed up as a donut, which I do every year for National Donut Day, Jelly Donut Day, which is in February. It's called Fat Tuesday. Here's another, playing games. Maybe you create a game. Maybe you learn a game. Another form of creativity is building, okay? So building something. Here, my children created out of boxes and popsicle sticks. They built a leprechaun trap. Crafts. Sometimes doing crafts can be in the form of following step-by-step directions, or sometimes it's just using your brain to create something. This is a picture of me helping my daughter last week. Ruby and I made a quilt out of some felt fabric squares that her teacher gave her. And we did not follow directions. We just simply used our prior knowledge of how to make something into a blanket and how to use the sewing machine, and we created something. Another one would be learning games. So learning games are a little bit different than your typical board game, because it could be in the form of a puzzle, or maybe it's a game like Zingo, where you're learning snap words and word wall words. But puzzles are really mathematical, and they help you to learn while you're actually playing the game. Creativity comes in so many different forms. Here's a picture of the kids and I, or well, I'm taking the picture, but the kids and I made this art yesterday, and we saw it. We were inspired because I saw it on maybe Instagram or Facebook from another awesome parent who was sharing the idea. You take masking tape and you tape out these designs, and then you color in all of the different shapes with different colors of chalk, and then when you're all done, you take the tape off, and it turns into this beautiful piece of art. So creativity comes in many forms, and today's lesson is really to teach you that creativity is not just paper, pencil, markers. We're gonna watch a quick video. It's called Kane's Arcade. Grown-ups and family members, the actual documentary is 10 minutes long, but I'm gonna share this with you. It's a shortened version. It's about 4 minutes.
My name is Kane. I'm 9 years old. My arcade is called Kane's Arcade. It's open on weekends only, and it's really cheap.
Kane does not pass by an arcade without stopping in. He loves tickets, playing games. He loves prizes. So it was only natural for him to build his own arcade. He loves to see how things are built. He takes all his toys apart to see how they work. Can't put them back together, but he takes them apart. Kane spent summer vacation coming to work with me to sell auto parts in East LA.
My dad has a lot of boxes back there to ship parts out, so I cut them up and make my arcade games out of it. My first game I made, the basketball from a guy at Shaky's Pizza, and it's really cool.
He taped it onto a box, and he was offering people chances to play for like a nickel. He started from that little game, and little by little, they started getting fancier and fancier, and eventually he took over the whole store.
I met Kane randomly. I had to get a door handle for my 96 Corolla. So I pulled into this used auto parts store, and I just came across this elaborate cardboard arcade. I asked him how much it was to play. He's like, for $1 you get 4 turns, but for $2 you get a fun pass. Well, how many turns do you get a fun pass? He gets 500 turns for a fun pass. I got a fun pass.
One day, Kane tells me, Dad, I want to buy a claw machine. I said, why don't you just build it? So you got an S-hook, put a piece of yarn on it, and then put a little track on top of the box. And I said, what the heck? he figured out how to make a claw machine with a string and a hook.
And here's some sunglasses. These are the glasses I like the most. Store sunglasses.
Well, one day, my secretary comes running into the office. George, you never believe it. Somebody's playing King's Arcade. And I go, no way. So I was looking through the security camera and watching them.
I'm playing like miniature soccer, miniature basketball. And then when he'd score a point, he would crawl into the box and he pulls out these little tickets out of the side of the cardboard.
Like real arcade games, tickets come from the bottom.
And I was like, this kid's a genius.
Nirvan came back one day when Kane wasn't here, and he told me, do you mind if I make a short film about King's Arcade? I said, well, actually, it's kind of like a little joke around here, because you're his only customer.
I was blown away. King's only sold one Fun Pass. Like, the Fun Pass is an awesome deal.
So Nirvan said, well, what if I can get him a couple customers? I said, that would make his day. If you can get him one customer, he'll be happy. What's going on over here? Huh? We finally got some customers here.
Alright, everybody, this is Kane. Kane, this is everybody. All these people came here to play your arcade. Did you know they were coming?
No.
Are you ready to run your arcade? Yeah. Alright, what'd you guys come here to do? Good. Welcome to Kane's Arcade, man.
But the eight could also be for auto parts, six-pop shops where it's made. And the I's gotta be for imagination, which kids got a lot. And the N ought to be for noggin, where the idea first got knocked. But then the E, oh yes the E, oh yes the E, oh yes the E. Well, E's gotta be for everybody. Cause everybody's invited, come on down and play. If you got the pluck to try your luck, come on down to Kane's Arcade. Oh, Kane's Arcade. Kane's Arcade. Oh, Kane's Arcade. Kane's Arcade. It's the best cardboard arcade ever been made. Ever made. Grab yourself a fun pass and y'all come on down and play. If you got the pluck to try your luck, get on down to Kane's Arcade.
All right, so boys and girls, what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a little demonstration of creativity for you. Let me stop sharing the screen. So I purchased these eggs, they're fake, from Target a few weeks ago before we had the stay-at-home, shelter in place. I've not been going to Target since. So they're fake, and I can knock them, and I don't know what they're made out of. But I wanted to show you something really cool. There was a creative person who designed this. It's called the Egg-mazing. And they had to think about how would the motor run and what would the design look like and what parts would they use. That's creativity. So there's a button on the side, on, off. And when you turn it on, these little wheels, they have pads on them. Oh, actually only one of them runs. It has little rubber pads on them, and it rotates. Like a car wheel would rotate or a bike wheel would rotate. So what the concept is, you take a marker, I'm gonna take I'll take a new color. I'll do pink. And you put an egg, and in the live class, I use this egg. You put the egg on the wheel. I'll show you how it works. It rotates the egg, and you can place your marker on there, and it makes a really cool design. See that? And I can use a thicker marker. Here's a little bit thicker marker. Do you see the edge on that one? It's a little bit thicker, so let's see what kind of design that makes. Do it like this. Pretty cool. Check that out. Really fills it in. So this is a form of creativity, and I thought that would be really fun to show you. Maybe you can be like Kane, the boy in the video. Maybe you can create your own egg amazing somehow. Kane in the video, can we go back to that? Can I tell you my favorite part of that whole video was when Kane would climb into the box, and when someone won the game, he would push the tickets through the little hole, just like a real arcade. So he was using his creative brain to build and design an arcade, just like a real arcade out in the world. All right, so boys and girls, the last thing we're going to do is there's an online YouTube channel called 5-Minute Crafts that my kids love. And I'm gonna have you take out your piece of paper and pencil, and I am going to have you create something from 5-Minute Crafts. Parents, so far, everything I've seen on 5-Minute Crafts is appropriate. Some of the ideas are a little bit outrageous, so you have to remind your children that, you know, we're probably not gonna make something with matches. Some of the things are a little bit out there. But for the most part, my kids have really enjoyed the tutorials on Barbie items, and they've made things for their Barbie house. It's kind of far away, I would show you, but they've made Barbie clothes, Barbie hats, and that's all from 5-Minute Crafts. So take out your paper and pencil. My paper is not blank because I taught the live class. I'm going to use a Sharpie marker so that you can see, but what we're going to do is we're going to make a peace sign. Peace, peace, what's up? We're going to make a peace sign on a piece of paper like this. Oops, let me grab this piece of paper. Get rid of it. Okay? And you're going to trace it just like that. Oops. Peace. Now, watch what I'm going to do. Remember, I am an author, not an illustrator, okay? You see what I'm making? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A bunny! How cool is that? So there's a 5-minute craft video that we will link to in the email, and it's all different hand things that you can make. So I'll show you in the live video. I used my hand to make a fish, and I used my hand to make a little crab. So I thought that was really cool because you don't need to have a lot of things at your home. You don't need to have a lot of toys to be creative. You can be creative with a cardboard box. You can be creative with a pencil, a piece of paper, and your hands. Creativity does not require a lot of money. Creativity does not require a lot of things. So for those of us who are at home and we can't run out to Target and we can't buy paint and we can't go on Amazon and get really cool crafts and games sent to us, I want you to remember that creativity starts here, here, and at your house with recycled materials that you have. So to end today, the very final thing we're going to do, dun, 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 is we're going to say goodbye in Polish. And it goes like this. Narasha, narasha. My mom is 100% Polish. My grandma and grandpa, Busha and Jaja, were from Poland. They met here in the United States at church, and they spoke fluent Polish. And I remember them saying narasha. It means see you later in Polish. Thank you, friends. We will see you on Monday, where we will be live and everything will be up and running again. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.